Hi Violas. Today we're going to be moving on to page 5 in the Essential Elements Book 2. Page 5 is going to use the same notes of G major scale that we used on page 4. So the violins are adding an additional octave for page 5. We are staying on the same 8 notes that we practiced on page 4. So we're going to go ahead and start with number 14, which is G major scale. This is again just up and down the G major scale. This time you will repeat the top note, so you'll play the G both going up and going down. And we are doing a rhythm called pepperoni pizza. That's 4/8 notes and 2 quarter notes. Notice how you play the 4/8 notes and then you move up to the next note for the 2 quarter notes, and you'll pretty much stick with that same rhythm throughout this one. So read your notes. This one is not intended to be played in a round. Above the staff and above a rest, that means you retake the bow. Retake the bow means you pick it up and usually bring it back to the frog for 2 down bows in a row, and that just keeps the bowing working smoothly and consistently. Let's go ahead and move on to the next exercise now. This is called G major arpeggio. Again, the notes of the G major arpeggio are G, B, and D, and then you always play the first note again at the top. So the bottom note is G and the top note is G. Let's go ahead and play it. It's the same rhythm that we just used with the scale. Good. You may need to work that up to tempo if you can't play it that fast to start. The next one is a duet. This one is called intonation and counter. Intonation is a word that refers to how well in tune you are playing. So are you getting the fingers really in the right spots? You may have some tape on your fingerboard to help guide your fingers to the right spot. And for this year, we're giving you a first finger tape and a third finger tape if you are still using tapes. And remember, the goal is to eventually not need the tapes at all. But the first finger tape gets your hand lined up in the right spot on the fingerboard. And then the third finger tape helps to establish a good hand shape. But then remember that second finger can go back and forth. There are 2 notes in between that. And then your fourth finger goes a whole step past the third finger. So use your ears and then feel free to make adjustments by sliding those fingers either up or down the fingerboard to make the note in tune. If the note is too high, you need to bring it back toward the scroll to make it lower. And if it's too low, you need to move it toward the bridge or toward your face to make it higher. So we're really working on trying to play in tune here. This one is a duet, so I would encourage you to maybe find a friend and see if you can maybe use an interactive or collaborative music app to try playing it together. I'm going to go ahead and play the top part first, and then I will play the bottom part. The top part is a little more challenging than the bottom part. Here's the A part. Part of your music that's maybe a little bit more challenging than the rest of it, I encourage you to isolate that spot. So for example, the last measure here, we've got might be a little harder because you're changing note on every 8th note rather than playing the same pitch twice. So you might want to slow it down. Gradually work it up to tempo. Now let's play the B part, the bottom part, for number 16, intonation and counter. Good. Let's move on now to the next piece, which is the outback. This is the last one on this page. So the outback uses a slightly different rhythm. You're starting with a quarter note and then you're starting your eighth notes with an up bow. So it goes down, up, down, up, down, up. So your eighth notes, instead of starting down bow, they're starting up bow, just because they do start on beat 2. Notice the next measure though is back to down, up, down, up, down, up. So pay very careful attention to the rhythm on this one, and I would encourage you to maybe consider doing the rhythm in the air the first time while you're learning the rhythm for this one. In fact, let's go ahead and do that together. We're going to do the rhythm in air. I call this rocket bow. Good. So make sure that you're following the down bows and up bows. Also notice that this one is marked forte, so loud at the beginning, and then the second line starts piano and gets loud again at the very end. Okay, let's try playing it together. For page 5, I hope you've enjoyed playing these songs in G major, and then make sure that every time you're playing that you're really working very hard to listen and adjust to get those fingers in the right spot so that your notes will be in tune. Next time we'll be moving on to C major. Good luck and happy practicing.